Welcome to channel make your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Gao Yang, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now today's video, we are coming back to the topic of Global Talent Independent Visa, subclass 858. Now talking about income, a lot of people have sent me inquiry emails and contacts over the past years asking about how proof of income can actually be done. I've done an overarching video previously, but in this video I would like to specifically talking about the income, the high threshold income required by the GTI visa. Now a lot of people do have, obviously, knowing about income and differentiation between income, salary, earnings. Well, so what do I need to do if I am looking forward to apply for a Global Talent Independent Visa? What sort of evidence or support I require to provide? Now, this video will be helpful if that's the thing that you require to go for, because it's a high threshold. Sometimes, if you're at a higher position, well, obviously you do have a base salary, for sure, if you're employed anywhere around the world. But there's also other types of incentive you probably can get. Well, do they count as income as well? And how other way you can actually prove it? Because we got to face the fact that every different nations around, countries around the world, the income ratio and payment ratio is different. Now, how do you prove that you can actually be accepted by the high threshold income coined by the idea from Australia? This is video right for you. Okay, so first of all, let's go into the actual web page about the Global Talent Independent Visa. You may have probably have reviewed this page many times, but I like to go through the part at the very bottom, because a lot of people only focus on target sector talent. Now you see the number 3, the third item here is high income threshold. Now how do you meet that requirement? Let's go down to the bottom and have a look. Let's have a read first. So high income threshold, candidates should have the ability to attract a salary at or above the Fair World high income threshold of Australian dollar 162,000. This figure is adjusted annually on the 1st of July. So every year they were adjusted. So usually it's a little bit of increase. So previously was 158,600, I think. I can't remember the actual figure, but anyway, they had increased a little bit due to, obviously, inflation. When assessing this, we'll consider the current salary, pay slip or contract, future job offer, and the recent perhaps PhD graduate at the target sector. But I really need to emphasize here. Now the third column, I've really never seen anyone succeeded in the recent days. Why is that? Because the competitiveness of people putting in their GTI EOI, expression of interest, there's just a lot of high profile people out there. So in compare, you got to think about this when the government and immigration officer compare a PhD graduate with 10-20 years experience in the high-tech field. Who do they choose? Of course they pick the 20 years experience guy rather than the newbie graduate, right? But anyway, let's have a look at this. So it's not just based on salary, and also the key word here is ability to attract. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be paid at that level at this point in time at the origin of your country, because some countries do pay a little bit less, perhaps a lot less. So you need to show that. But obviously, if your current salary rate is above 162,000, that's great. That's even great. That's straight proven already. But let's go into the actual policy and have a look what the policy says here. Okay, so we'll go into the ministerial direction where the order is made. Now, this is when they first invented the Global Talent Development Visa, and they throw this ministerial direction there. So it says this: for subclass 6.2, direction and priority will be given due regards to allocation application for assessment by the person covered by section 3.1 direction as follow. Well, anyway, it doesn't really make any sense. Let's have read of this content here. These three paragraph is most vital. I mean, probably the first two, because the third one doesn't really make any sense anyway. Okay, the first one is that there's a written communication from an Australian employer offering employment in Australia with a salary equivalent or higher than the Fair Work High Income threshold. So, well, that's pretty hard, because if you're overseas, how do you get an employer to get you an offer? But some people does. Okay, or there's the primary applicant current earning. That's exactly what I just said. If your current earning is at the level of $162,000, then obviously you meet that requirement in an amount of equal or greater than amount referred to sub paragraph, which is this one up here, or where there's evidence the primary applicant is likely to attract is equal to greater than the amount of the sub paragraph up here. So what does that mean? That basically means that if your current and bear in mind, if we go back there, it says earnings rather than salary. We got to differentiate here. There's a salary, there's earning. Obviously, the reason they're using different words, they do have meaning there. Well, earning or income could actually include the base salary, the allowance, the bonus, and some people in the tech firm do get stock options as well. Now, all of this is actually a reward, a physical reward actually given to people, right? So that's all the earnings, that's all the income. But obviously, some allowance doesn't get you straight money, but you are allowed to utilize those cabs that's been given by your company, by means that you don't need to pay by your own money. So that's still a way to remunerate an employee. So that's also counting as an earning or income as well, that because you doesn't really need to pull the money out of your pocket as well. So that all included in there. Now, if we go back to that policy here again, there's also likely to attract. Now, how do you prove that? Now, obviously, I've done a lot of GTI candidates. They do get headhunted all the time. So make sure you have your LinkedIn profile updated all the time, and they do get a lot of headhunters going around and offering certain amount of base salary or income or earnings, and that can also be utilized in a way to prove that you have the likelihood to actually attract those salary and income. So again, that's very vital as well. I've got a couple candidates, they produce about 10-20 of these headhunters emails, and they're all big global companies, so it's very credential. The credibility of these headhunters is actually very high and can be used as evidence of support of how you can actually attract those kind of income. Now, last but not least, let's go into the final piece of the policy. Now, where it actually comes out. Well, apologize of the word is very small and tiny, because it's just the way how this Legend.com, the immigration library works anyway. So under the section 3.3.1.4 employability, obviously this section is all talking about global talent. Now you may notice that it's start with 124, that's distinguished talent visa, but anyway, 124 has been merged with 858 subclass altogether anyway. So it's the same concurrent policy. Policy, not regulations. Okay, now to satisfy that 124.211, the applicant must demonstrate they have no difficulty obtaining employment. So obviously that relates to the income as well, because you have employment, you have the high income threshold. Remember, becoming established independently in Australian area achieve the policy intent to ensure that the applicant will be economically independent. So obviously you're not gonna go there and rely on Centrelink, right? Other employment or becoming independent, established area of talent, and not being reliant on social welfare. Now that is the key. That's why they wanted to make that confirm and affirm before they're giving you the permanent residency. Importantly, both the ability to obtain employment and becoming established independent must be in applicant's area of achievement. So obviously, if you're coming in the high-tech field, in the semiconductor field, look, you're not going to go into, well, medical health. It doesn't make any sense. So it has to connect it to the area, the target sector that you are specialized in. Here's employment which is not related to the applicant's area of achievement cannot be used. So don't come and say, look, I'm gonna invest, or I've been in high-tech field for 20 years now, I'm gonna go into agriculture, I'm gonna buy a farm and do something and do farmings. Now that's just not gonna convince the immigration officer. Applicant will not be able to demonstrate where to become independent established in the area of achievement should they migrate to settle in Australia solely by existing funds or assets. So you cannot just show, I have the money. Well, obviously having the money is important, but again, they wanted to show that you have ways to actually get employed. So assessing employability. Now look, this may look very tough, but in a way, if you have that higher ranked to be selected as GTI candidate, I don't see there's a way that you cannot get employed in Australia. So how do they assess it? Officer can consider the combination of the following. Here we go. This is the way. I probably have already repeated them myself. But again, let's have a look. So employment contract, offers of employment. So that comes down to headhunters. Headhunters give you a lot of offers. Now those offers doesn't have to be in Australia, but it shows that you have the ability to attract those kind of income, right? So employment contract, achieve related area to achievement for work in Australia. This may evidenced by current and future employment. So current employment is also important. Opportunity employer recruiting agencies. So that's the headhunters, right? University organization, evidence of self-employed. So have you been, building business by yourself? So if you're a business owner, again, that will show that evidence as well, or opportunity to establish viable business. Evidence of sponsorship, scholarship, or payments intent for the applicant. Now this is hard. I haven't seen anyone got these kind of sponsorship, scholarship. Perhaps you have to be kind of some sort of scholar or professor. Evidence of academic qualification that area achieve. So PhD and master. Now this is quite weak because most of my candidates do have those kind of qualifications, but that doesn't mean you get employed. But again, it does count into employability as well. Now, so there's a little bit of differentiation between employability and also a way to attract the income as well, but it's actually interconnected together. You see how this actually work. Evidence of high score, average of 80 to 100 out of the GPA. That means you are very smart. But for GTI candidate, normally they have been in the field of 10-20 years. It will be quite hard to actually generate those transcripts from back in those days. So it's not required if you have all the above. So this is not everything you need, but some of the meeting requirement will do. And demonstrate track record, previous employment and area of achievement. So again, that's basically in the GTI candidate's portfolio to actually show that you are be able to be employed. So let's summarize this. This video is all about how you can actually prove that you can actually attract the high income threshold required under the GTI visa. So one, obviously, you could have your current employment, pay slips, evidence of income including the base salary, bonus, and allowances, and also a way to attract potential income by, you have you been headhunted, other company giving you offers. All these kind of things can actually count into us. And finally, last but not least, the employability that goes down to your career profiles, and plus all the track records, employability, your contracts, your future offers. All this will all count together in that tiny section of how you can actually prove you can actually attract a high income threshold to actually meet GTI requirement. Anyway, should you have more question query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. And I see you next video. Goodbye.